What if I told you that most of the chaos you see isn't random? It's carefully designed. That the same people stoking your fear just so happen to have the solution to sell you. And every time we fall for it, we give away more of our power. So we're going to dig into this one. So if you don't have time, just save this video for later. This isn't new. This is how power has worked for centuries. Fear is the easiest way to control people because when people are afraid, they do three things. One, they look for someone to blame. Two, they seek out authority for answers. And three, they hand over their power in exchange for safety. And the ones who benefit, the same ones who created the panic in the first place. But let's take it deeper. This isn't just about fear. It's about what happens once we're ready. Once we're already afraid, because fear alone isn't enough. They also need us distracted. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Fear does one thing, it paralyzes. But distraction, that's what keeps us stuck. Because when people are overwhelmed, when they don't know what's true anymore, they stop thinking critically. They just get exhausted, and exhausted people don't rebel. That's why we're constantly being fed division. Left versus right, pro versus anti, us versus them. Because if we're busy fighting each other, we're not questioning the systems that keep us trapped. And this isn't even about who's right or wrong. The real question is who benefits when we're afraid and divided. Now, let me explain exactly how this works with a simple metaphor. Picture this. You're watching a magician perform an insane trick, right? The audience is locked in, watching the flashy movements, caught up in the show. But the real trick, it's happening in the other hand. And by the time we realize it, the magician has already moved on to the next performance. Now, that's exactly what's happening on a global scale. The bigger the distraction, the less we question what's happening behind the scenes. But here's the thing. What if the magician never had any real magic at all? What if the only power they ever had was our willingness to believe in the illusion? Because the moment we stop being the audience, the trick stops working. And this is where it gets even crazier. See, when people start catching on, when the crowd starts whispering, wait a minute, this doesn't seem real, that's when the magician starts to panic. And that leads us to this. Think about this. What does an animal do when it knows it's dying? It gets desperate. It thrashes. It lashes out. It becomes more dangerous than ever. That's exactly what's happening right now. The system we've lived under for so long thrives on fear, control, and division. But now more people than ever are waking up. We're seeing the patterns. We're questioning the narrative. And the system, it's panicking. That's why it feels like the noise is getting louder, why every crisis seems bigger than the last, why every headline is designed to shock, trigger, and divide. These are the death throes of a system losing control. But instead of reacting, let's ask a different question. Why were we ever disconnected from our own truth in the first place? So let's sit with this for a second. Why were we raised to ignore our own intuition? Why were we trained to always look outside of ourselves for validation? To ask teachers, bosses, experts, governments for permission to think? Because when you trust yourself, when you stop relying on external validation, you become uncontrollable. And that's the last thing the system wants. That's why the distractions are getting more desperate. That's why the panic is being pushed harder than ever. Because the more we tune into ourselves, the less power they have over us. So, how do we break free from this? Here's what you can do right now to step out of this cycle. So number one is step back from the noise. If something is pulling at your emotions too strongly, question why. Who benefits from you feeling this way? And number 2, strengthen your inner compass. The more you build self-awareness, stillness, and clarity, the less external chaos can control you. And then number 3 is recognize the game. The moment you see the pattern, the cycle of panic and cure, you stop playing altogether. The moment we stop reacting to the distractions, the entire illusion collapses. So, if you're done being controlled by fear and distractions and you're ready to reclaim your mind, your focus, and your power, comment freedom below and I'll send you my free guide to breaking free from the cycle for good. Okay, everyone. As always, I love you, and until next time, peace.